Well, hello everybody and good afternoon. I am Ekta Kapoor and it brings me immense pleasure to welcome you all at today's webinar on Mauritius's solar energy landscape. Mauritius's solar energy sector is undergoing significant growth, fueled by rising investments, supporting government policies, and a strong national commitment to clean and sustainable energy solutions. Technological advancements, along with innovative financing models, are accelerating this transformation, positioning the country to further strengthen its renewable energy ecosystem and also move closer to its long term sustainability goals. In today's webinar, we will explore the current state of Mauritius's clean energy landscape, particularly its growing solar sector. And we will also delve into the emerging investment opportunities and discuss the key challenges and the technological innovations during the transition to a sustainable energy future. And before that, we would also like to take this opportunity to gladly announce Solar Quarter's third edition of Mauritius Clean Energy Week 2025 on the 16th of July 2025 at Hennessy Park Hotel at Quatre Bornes in Mauritius. It is a premier industry gathering where the key stakeholders will come in person to discuss the future of Mauritius's clean energy sector. Let's all take a look at what we can expect over there. Now, can I please request my team to play the video so that we can all know what exactly is going to be there? This might take a couple of. Thank you so much, team. So, dear audience, as you can see, this is going to be a highly interactive and a very impactful event. Truly one not to be missed. We encourage you to register today and be a part of it. And before we begin, I'd also like to extend a special thank you to our esteemed guests, speakers, and all the attendees for joining us today. Your participation adds immense value to the discussions and helps us shape the future of clean energy in the region. May I now request Mr. Barkat Ahmed, the Regional Programs Head, Africa, International Solar Alliance, to kindly deliver the keynote address on overview of the Mauritius solar market. Over to you, Mr. Barkat.
Thank you so much, and thank you for Solar Quarter for inviting the International Solar Alliance to deliver the keynote address for this important webinar. Distinguished guests, colleagues, and partners, it's with great pleasure that I address you today on the dynamic landscape of Mauritius solar energy market. As a small island development state, Mauritius stands at the forefront of renewable energy initiatives, aiming to transform its energy paradigm through strategic vision, private sector engagement, and international cooperation. Let me quickly give you a briefing, quick one about the International Solar Alliance. The ISA is a global initiative launched in 2015 by India and France at COP21 in Paris. Right now, we have 123 member countries. The ISA works with governments to improve energy access and security worldwide and promote solar power and sustainable transition to a carbon neutral future. The ISA mission is to unlock 1 trillion USD of investments in solar sector by 2030 while reducing the cost of technology and its financing. Since its inception, the International Solar Alliance has made significant strides in scaling up access to clean energy in Africa and other regions over the world, with around 30 demonstration and pilot projects has been completed across various sectors, including solarization of schools, health centers, government buildings, cold storage units, and solar water pumping system, and others. Distinguished guests, solar energy presents a unique opportunity for Africa, not only for Mauritius, to deliver affordable, reliable, and sustainable electricity to a significant portion of its population. As you know, as we speak now, 600 million people in sub-Saharan Africa lack access to electricity. In addition to the important role of solar energy in increasing energy access, raising solar energy can contribute to reducing reliance on fossil fuel, which one of the main challenges that the small island states that are facing. In Africa, the reliance on fossil fuel constitute 79% of Africa's electricity generation. In the last 10 years, we have seen increased in solar investments from about $1.5 billion to approximately $8 billion in 2023. We have seen the amount of solar that has been installed grow up to 12 gigawatt now. Unfortunately, Africa investment in solar only 2.1 of the global investments, and solar installation only 1.2 of the global installation. This is despite the fact that Africa has 60% of the world's best solar resources and the greatest demand for energy. In the case of Mauritius, the solar capacity has increased by 4.5 times between 2015 and 2020. Also, the country has targeted to increase its renewable energy share by 60% to 60% by 2030 to reduce its fossil fuel imports. Mauritius is making significant strides in transforming its energy landscape, with solar power playing a vital role in its renewable energy ambitions. Let's look to what the government of Mauritius, the initiatives and policies they have adopted to improve the solar energy adoption. The government of Mauritius has implemented several policies to promote solar energy adoption. The Renewable Energy Roadmap 2030 of Mauritius outlines strategies to diversify the energy mix, reduce dependence on fossil fuel, and encourage private sector engagement. Incentives such as VAT exemption on solar PV projects, accelerated income tax depreciation for green investments, and concessional loans for households have been introduced to stimulate investments in solar energy. As a result, several large-scale solar projects are underway to boost the country's renewable energy capacity. The Central Electricity Board of Mauritius has introduced programs to encourage residential adoption of solar energy. However, despite the progress, several challenges persist, like land availability. It's one of the main issues that Mauritius is facing, grid infrastructure, financial barriers, technical expertise. So now how the International Solar Alliance is supporting Mauritius to overcome these challenges and achieve its vision. Mauritius is the founding member of the International Solar Alliance and has benefited from the ISA programmatic support. The first engagement under ISA care initiatives, which focus on solarizing healthcare facilities in small island development states. ISA supported Mauritius in solarizing the Nehru Hospital, which established in 1984 with the support from government of India, and the project inaugurated last year in June 2024. Such kind of initiatives that ISA is supporting aim to foster collaboration, enhance local capacities, and drive the adoption of clean energy solutions. As a result of this project, the project was catalytic instrument to encourage the development bank of Mauritius to install other rooftop projects in the hospital. In addition, to advance our partnership with Mauritius, 2 months ago, the International Solar Alliance and the Ministry of Energy and Public Utilities, representing the government of Mauritius, signed a country partnership framework, which provide a structured approach for ISA and the Republic of Mauritius to collaborate on solar energy initiatives and support Mauritius' clean energy transition. The country partnership framework identified six main areas of intervention. First is technical and institutional capacity and establishment of Solar Application Resource Center, which will be hosted by one of the universities in Mauritius. This is planned to be completed by next year. Second area is the regulatory support. We are going to review all the policy framework that the government of Mauritius adopted for scaling up solar energy and review it and come up with attractive schemes that can attract the private sector to invest in Mauritius. Also, we are going to work together in developing floating solar project, scaling up solar rooftop, agrivoltaic, and there is already a country assessment study just launched 1 week ago, and it will be concluded by within 9 months to come up with the right business model in the agrivoltaic. Finally, also the solar for green hydrogen and battery and waste management. Before I conclude, I will just go through two flagship initiatives that ISA has launched also, which is the first one is the Solar Access Startup Program. Within the ISA commitment to empowering youth, fostering innovation, and create jobs as a part of its mission to spread solar energy, last April, ISA and Business Mauritius organized in Mauritius the first global Solar X Accelerator Startup Program, which hosted 35 startups from ISA cohort of 50 solar startups from Africa, APAC, and India. The Solar Accelerator Program is an initiative designed to identify and support startups with innovative, scalable, and cost-effective solutions in the solar energy sector. Furthermore, support, empower, and guide startups focusing on solar energy and renewable technologies. It aims also to connecting entrepreneurs with investors, providing tailored mentorship, fundraising, training, and access to financing opportunities. The last point I would like just to shed light on it is the global solar facility. One of the most questions that we used to hear and be asked, why the money doesn't flow to Africa in general in the solar sector, and how we can attract private capital to renewable energy, particularly solar. Given the fact that decentralized solar application where solar plus battery is more cost effective than using diesel to provide electricity, and to ensure that the funds flow into Africa, the ISA launched a global solar facility which comprise three funds: Payment Guarantee Fund, Insurance Fund, and Investments Fund. This will help to push pull money into Africa's solar investments in the small scale sector and decentralized application. At the same time, we help countries to prepare bankable projects through technical assistance, pre-feasibility study, in addition to capacity building. Under the umbrella of a global solar facility, we are going to operationalize the Africa Solar Facility by this year itself. So in conclusion, Mauritius' journey towards sustainable energy future is marked by ambitious goals, proactive policies, and strategic partnership. However, international cooperation can catalyze national efforts in renewable energy development. Together, we can eliminate the path toward a resilient and sustainable energy landscape for Mauritius and beyond. Thank you so much, and looking for a proactive discussion.
Thank you so much, Mr. Barkat. Thank you for sharing your valuable insights and also the future goals that you have been setting. And now, without any further delay, I would like to request Mr. Iqbal, Senior Analyst, Central Electricity Board, to kindly deliver the keynote address on Empowering Mauritius, integrating renewable energy and smart grid innovations for a sustainable future. Over to you, Mr. Iqbal.
Thank you, Ekta. A difficult subject,
You
by the
got
way.
it. Not for you, I'm
Uh,
sure.
and, well, first of all, good afternoon to all. I should thank the Solar Quarter organizer for giving us the opportunity to debate about this important subject. A good afternoon to Mr. Ahmed. We met some time back. So, in the interest of time, let me start directly with the issues underlying the subject matter, which I understand is what is being done to empower Mauritius for increasing the shares of renewable energy, more precisely variable renewable energy, in particular solar power generation, with focus on smart grid innovations. Obviously, all this for a sustainable future for Mauritius. As you know, is heavily dependent on imported fossil fuels to produce electricity and also in the transport sector. Well, you may be like to know that contrary to expectation, unfortunately, the combined percentage shares of renewable energy, solar, wind, hydro, biomass, and landfill gas in Mauritius has regressed to 17.7% in 2024 from what it was some years back, around 23%. Nonetheless, the good news is that solar power generation, in fact, at all voltage level, is progressing. Over the past decade, the installed capacity of variable renewable energy, solar photovoltaic, and wind power generation has known an exponential growth of 750% plus. That's a huge increase for solar energy. However, this level of VRE integration unfortunately has crossed a critical threshold of 30% VRE that could be managed safely in the Mauritius small isolated power system, which by the way has recorded an all-time maximum peak power demand of 567.9 megawatt last February. Why VRE, especially solar PV, has promising future for tropical seeds, small islands, developing state like Mauritius, its integration in the power system for sure poses major challenges. Fortunately, there are solutions, among which continuous innovation through smart grid technologies. Smart grid innovations such as automatic generation control, flexible power generators, wide area network monitoring systems, advanced distribution management systems, energy storage systems, smart meters, and intelligent demand response devices, just to name a few, are part of the solution to widen the scope for higher integration of VRE, which will enable us achieving energy independence and energy security on top of other benefits. In Mauritius, we have started our smart grid journey with the preparation of a strategic smart grid roadmap back in 2018. We are, in fact, halfway in the journey. The question now is what have we achieved so far and where are we going? In a nutshell, CB, being the power utility of the country, the national power utility, has initiated a number of actions in the context of smartening the national grid. For instance, we have started the implementation of automatic generation controls in major power stations. This is required for frequency control. Second, we have continuously invest in modernizing our substation. Right now, we have major project at hand. We are transforming our air insulated substation to gas insulated substation with more functionalities. We have also started geographical mapping our electric networks, start the development of the ADMS, Advanced Distribution Management System, under which we have deployed hundreds of motorized load break switches. These equipments are necessary to manage the grid safely. We have also continued investment in large-scale battery energy systems. So as at date, we have already 38 megawatt of BSS already installed and facilitating the integration of renewable energy, especially solar. We started also the replacement plan of meters. We're moving toward smart meters in deployment. So far, around 30% of the customer base is already completed equipped with smart meters. We kickstarted action to implement recommendation of study on development of an advanced metering infrastructure. Smart grid is not just a bundle of technical solution initiatives that I've just mentioned. To maximize the benefit of smart grid, as a CB, we are aiming a number of things. For instance, to improve the system reliability and security, optimize operational efficiency, optimize energy efficiency, intelligently integrate the actions of users, systems, and devices, enhance customer services and billing accuracy, and of course, increase penetration of local renewable energy sources, which in our case is solar and wind energy sources. Going forward, more importantly, to achieve the national target of 60% renewable energy in the electricity sector, the installed capacity of solar PV in the portfolio of energy sources will probably raise by around 200% from its current level. That level of solar PV integration will be almost equal to the current peak power demand, which we would not be able to manage without strengthening the grid further. The grid infrastructure have to be improved, and we know that small grid solution, innovation, are the levers to enable this. So I won't take too much time. Let me conclude with a few required small grid innovation. I will speak about the key small grid innovations that we will have to continue this journey, especially in the quest for Mauritius to accommodate higher share of local renewable energy, especially solar PV in our power generation area, which also will assist in electric mobility in the medium to long term. First and foremost, after having deployed a number of these initiatives that I've just mentioned, now it's time to integrate all these technologies, all these initiatives into a common platform. So for this, we need a communication infrastructure, which would be, in fact, the backbone of the smart grid. We do have deployed fiber optics, but we need to reinforce all these. We need to improve them. This will include acquisition and deployment of state-of-the-art hardware, software, intelligence, both real and artificial, among others. Second, we need to go full-scale development of the AMI, the Advanced Metering Infrastructure, alongside a fast completion of the smart meter deployment program. Mention it that we have only 30% of our customer base are equipped with smart meters. We have a long way to go. Third, but more important above all, is the modernization of our system operation control infrastructures and operation. These are key initiatives that we will have to go forward with so that we can manage higher solar PV power generation in the Mauritian small system. So this intended smart grid action will need important investment, along with the formulation of appropriate policies, regulation, and procedures. So I think I will stop here. Then I will leave it the floor to continue debating about this important subject. Thank you for having been attentive.
Thank you so much, Mr. Iqbal. Thank you so much, especially the last points that you mentioned. I absolutely agree with the communication infrastructure that needs to be developed and also the modernization that is required. I think these are very two important and key subjects that need to be taken care of. And thank you so much once again for your insightful address.
Thank you.
And before we go ahead, we would like to encourage all our attendees to actively engage in the discussion by posting your questions in the Q&A box, and also our esteemed panelists will address them during the interactive Q&A session, which would be at the conclusion of the panel discussion. So as you can already see, we also have a couple of interactions that are going on in the box. So I would like to request everybody once again to please post your questions over there, and we will have them answered by our panelists. Without any further delay now, let us begin our highly anticipated panel discussion, charting Mauritius's clean energy future, solar, storage, and smart solutions. It is my pleasure to introduce our esteemed panel of experts who will share their perspectives on the opportunities and the challenges in Morocco's solar market. Let me welcome our esteemed panelists of this session. Mr. Siraj, the Director, Agritech Energy and Ocean, EDB Mauritius. Mr. Ismail, Acting Manager, Transmission, Central Electricity Board. Mr. Hiran Raj, Solar Business Director, Huawei. Mr. Titus, Head of Technical, Jinko Solar. Mr. Fenosoa, Sales Manager, Indian Ocean JA Solar. Mr. Shorai, Product Director, Longi. Mr. Chetan Janki, the Project Director, Sun Farming Africa. And last but not the least, our moderator for today's session, Dr. Revin, the CEO, Sustainable Resource Management Limited. Over to you, Dr. Revin, for the panel discussion so that we can get a lot more of insights, and then we will move ahead with the Q&A. Over to you, Dr. Revin.
Thank you. Let me welcome all the participants and panelists to this session. And without wasting any more time, let's try to tackle the list of questions that has been pre-established. So the first question is, what policy and regulatory shifts are most critical for accelerating solar and battery storage adoption in Mauritius, and how is the ISA partnership influencing this landscape? I think Mr. Barakat has already brushed on part of the subject, and I myself, being a partner to many of the solar projects that are happening in Mauritius, I can tell you that we need some kind of framework for developers. This is something that is missing, and a lot of developers are still groping, I would say, in the dark with the different regulatory framework that the country has. So I would like to throw open this question and see who would like to intervene on the policy and regulatory framework of Mauritius. How is it affecting the development of solar energy projects in the country? Anybody would like to
Hello,
come in?
hello, Dr. Revin. How are you?
Hello. Good.
Yeah. So I think this question was earmarked to me. I've prepared something, and I would like to give some of opinion on that, and then we can leave the floor to the other panelists. So, according to me, the most critical policy and regulatory shift needed to increase or to accelerate the solar PV and battery storage adoption in the country. I've regrouped them into 7 parts. I'll try to make it fast. I know you are a very good timekeeper, Mr. Dr. Evin. So the first one is to revamp the net billing and net metering framework. I know that CB is already doing a very good job, and being in the sector, I know they are coming up with a very good scheme. So what would be one policy shift what I foresee? The current status is that the CEB offers net billing for small scale PV, but the tariff is often unattractive compared to grid electricity prices. Net metering, on the other hand, is restricted and limited in scale. So
I think you're frozen, my friend. Uh, Mr. Moabia Singh needs to, I think, get out and get in again.
I agree with that. Implement time of use that reflect the real value of solar during peak hours. A third point on that topic would be to allow virtual net metering to enable energy sharing between multiple properties or TNet. That is something that is missing, and I believe the authorities might maybe put a bit of attention there. The second point, which I would like to let's say discuss with respect to policy shift, is to reintroduce or to sorry to introduce a clear battery storage incentive. Right now, what we see in the market is batteries being only uh, used in large scale project. We all know that at a certain limit of renewable energy penetration in the grid, we have no other choice than using storage system. Uh, I would rather also think that this should not be only on the utility scale project. It should be also on the residential and the CNI, the commercial and the industrial. So the current stage right now is that the battery storage is largely unregulated with no specific incentive. Sometimes it is on a tender where it is being um, specified on a specific tender, but not on a large scale uh, incentive type of policy. So, and then the current, another point in the current status is that the storage, like I said, is essential to address the solar intermittency and the grid stability. We all know about that. So the required shift, which I would uh, maybe elaborate here, is to develop a storage policy framework, including capital subsidy and tax rebate for battery system. Very easy to say, I know, but a lot of work to be done there. Grid service markets. So I'm here talking of grid forming solutions to stabilize the grid, like frequency regulation, voltage regulation. These are the new technologies that are coming up, where the battery owners might be compensated. I don't know. A hybrid solar, and another point would be hybrid solar and storage tariffs with differentiated rates depending on maybe on the region. I don't know. That's something that we need to discuss, and update a technical guideline and safety standard for battery integration within the grid. This is very, very important. Right now, we have no battery standard or no safety standard with respect to storage solution. I believe there some work needs to be done with maybe the Mauritius Standard Bureau, something like that. A third point which I want to elaborate here is to unbundle and open up the market energy. So right now, yeah, it's I mean this is uh, a point what I see on other countries. Uh, Although I should say that CB is doing a very good job among all the African countries, we have a very stable grid, and we should be very grateful and very happy for that. But I'm just telling what I see on over countries. So the current status is that CEB has a vertically integrated monopoly. Independent IPPs exist but are limited by PPA negotiation and slow approval. So I believe a required shift would be to unbundle the generation, transmission, and distribution role to allow competitive market dynamics. How this is going to be done, that's a long-term thing. We need to sit and see how this can be done. Create a transparent, standardized PPA framework. Right now, I believe it is standardized, but it is very uh, tender to tender basis. And a fourth point, which I would like to discuss, is the streamlining of the finance and incentive markets. So the current status is that many Mauritians, household and SMEs lack capital for solar and storage system. Of course, we are not allowed to put any storage system for the time being, but in the future, if it is coming, that is something that we need to work on. So commercial bank for the time being has limited green financing option. So one required shift would be to expand green loan scheme with government guarantees and low interest rate. That would be one suggestion. Develop some maybe feed-in tariff for small scale producers and community solar. And that one was done in some countries earlier, but I don't know how far we can build on that now. So what I'm what I want to say is that the carbon credit trading, which was earlier being done in other countries, maybe we should think about introducing that and integrate that into some financing through climate fund. I don't know, maybe IRENA or something like that. Fifth point, this is where AI and smart solution come in. So create a real-time data and smart grid. I know CB is already working on that. Current status though is limited grid flexibility and low digitalization. But I know that CB has recently awarded some tenders for new GIS that's going in the right direction. So hopefully we'll be having a new a smart grid very soon. But the shift that I would also like to point out would be to some of them are already ongoing. Maybe like smart metering is already ongoing, grid sensors, remote monitoring system, which are already there. Okay, so enable real-time data access for consumers and the CEB, which is partly there through mobile apps, and then encourage demand-side management policies and smart home integration. Two last point, Dr. Evin. Promote decentralized and community and off-grid solar. This right now is missing on the island. So most policy is geared towards grid tie system, although off-grid solution are allowed. Okay, we know that the island is a small island, but remote areas and coastal village or tourist-dependent region could benefit from off-grid microgrid. So the shift there would be to establish policies for community solar farm or energy cooperatives. That would be one possibility. Allow energy trading in local microgrids, maybe like outer islands like Rodrigues and Agaliga. I don't know, need to think about it. And then solar power public infrastructure like school. I know that CB has already scheme for the schools, for the different religious bodies. So maybe we should add the schemes with battery backup. What would be one shift. Then the last point, which I believe is the most important right now in Mauritius, is to strengthen education, certification, and local capacity. In my day-to-day work, I see a lot of skill gaps and inconsistent installer quality, which leads to very poor system performance. On a daily basis, we are, as a equipment supplier and service provider, I need to attend to, or my team need to attend to issues that shouldn't have been there uh, in the situation that the installers were properly trained. Although we do train them as a equipment supplier, but still there are some skill gap. So the required shift, I believe, would be to mandate certification and licensing of solar and battery installers. I know at some point of time CB was working on that. Maybe it should be again relaunched. Support training program, maybe through MITD. Now I think it's no longer called MITD, it's called ITET. Universities for solar technicians and maybe energy auditors and energy engineers. And then create a public solar and a battery knowledge platform, maybe a forum or something like that for consumers and developers. So these are the 7 points which I wanted to discuss. Sorry if I took a bit of time.
Thank you, Vicky. Very good presentation. I I think you have touched on mostly the operational aspects of solar PV development, but you have not talked enough about the pre-operational hurdles that developers
Correct,
of solar PV projects are facing.
correct. Especially on the
In my
permitting
mind,
side.
I have issues related to land conversion. You know, the
Correct.
country is still very emotional about our agricultural land. So we
Yes.
want solar, but we don't want to give away any of the sugarcane or agricultural areas. And this is one of the main hurdles right now that uh, projects are facing. I know a lot of projects that are not
I agree.
happening because of not being able to secure the land conversion permit that is necessary for solar PV projects to get the ultimate license, which is the building and land use permit. Anyway, so what I would like to do is maybe is there anybody else on the panel who would like to talk about issues related to pre-operational or even operational aspects of solar PV development, the regulatory framework?
Yeah, if you allow, so Sivraj Nandlal on this side here, so from the Economic Development Board in Mauritius. So just a brief, quick outline about the EDB Mauritius. It's a nodal agency for promotion of investment and facilitation of projects. So we are very much aware that there is a pipeline of projects in the renewable energy space that for which the Central Electricity Board has already signed contracts with the promoters, and implementation should be there in terms of supplying, supporting the grid, exporting to the grid, and bringing those projects live. All right, this is one thing. I think we also should look at what the recent budget speech has brought in light. So there is the budget speech speaks about four new growth pole areas, four new growth poles of economic activities. One of this is waste to wealth. So basically what we should be saying is that waste now is the new gold. Instead of throwing waste, we should be looking at it as a new gold. And in the waste to wealth activities that have been announced, one of which is waste to energy, which means that policies will come in place in terms of how these projects, in terms of waste to wealth, speaking, focusing on energy. That is, of course, when you speak of converting waste into energy, it's renewable energy. So what the policies that will come in place in terms of allowing the waste to be converted into energy, because today the waste belongs to the Ministry of Environment, and at the moment there is no segregation of waste. There is one landfill, and that landfill is already saturated, which means that instead of just dumping more waste into that landfill, that the waste that we are producing today, it should be transformed into, in terms of its economic activities, economic value that this can bring. And one of this is waste to energy. And this is where the budget speech is here today. So the finance bill, the way it works is that there will be a finance bill which will be converted into a law in terms of regulations and all that. So that will take care of, in terms of the policies that should come out for waste to energy. This is one thing. And definitely, yes, in terms, when we look at the size of the country of Mauritius, it's not like India where you have millions and millions of hectares of land where you can produce gigawatt hours of energy using renewable space if we speak of solar PV. But in Mauritius, we have that constraint of land, which means that we have a requirement for energy security, but at the same time, commitment towards our international commitment in terms of COP, in terms of the Paris Agreement. That is, we have to reach 60% by 2030. And last year, we managed to do 18.2, where previously it was a year earlier, it was 17.6. So which means that from 18.2 to reach 60% by 2030, we have, if you look at it in a linear progression, we have to increase every year by more than 25% to reach that 60% of renewable energy, which is a huge task. We agree with this, which is very ambitious, especially as you said, in terms of the land availability. So this is where new technologies in terms of where less land would be required for producing renewable energy has to be looked into. For example, it could be on water surface, our freshwater reservoirs and dams. This could be used for floating solar PVs. This relieves the pressure from land utilization. Yes, the Ministry of Agro-Industry is working on the land conversion permits because they are responsible to provide those land conversion permits. So they are working on this to ensure that the projects that have already signed a contract with a CB, they are able to proceed in terms of the implementation. Because this is also in terms of the schedule planning of the CB in terms of providing power to the population. So I think I'll stop here and then we will take it further if there are questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nanlal. Very insightful. Do we have any other panelists who would like to intervene on the subject? Okay, no more. Should we move to the next question that we need to address today in this session? How can innovative financing tools such as green bonds and blended finance unlock large-scale investment in solar PV and storage projects across the island? Do we have anybody who would like to take up this subject? Panelists?
Maybe I can say something.
Yes, please.
Yeah, it is one of the points that as I discussed in terms of a policy shift, streamline financing and incentive mechanism. Yes, green bonds and green financing option is a must. So green loan scheme with government guarantees and low interest rates, that's a must. When what I see in Reunion Island, our neighboring island, is where if I take the number of installation of solar, legal installation of solar that is being done in Mauritius and compare it with the number of legal installation being done in Reunion it is 10 times more. I'm talking as a supplier of equipment. Why is it 10 times more? It's because there is a financing structure which the government has put in place. Of course, it is Europe, we understand. We are a small island economy. It's not the same thing, but yes, this definitely help and encourages especially the residential and the CNI stakeholders or customers to move into solar. Some sort of allocation can be some places it is 100%, some places it is less, but this definitely helps.
Okay, thank you. I don't think we have many panelists who would like to intervene on this particular subject of financing tools. So maybe we could then move to the next topic on our agenda today, What are the biggest technical challenges in integrating battery energy storage with the national grid, and how can they be overcome to ensure energy reliability? Mm, Uh, the question is open. Please let me know who would like to intervene on this topic.
Yeah. So, Chair, it's Mari Sabji from the Central Electricity Board. So, I would like to shed some light on this aspect of the question or the topic. So, Cora, just to give you a brief idea about the installed capacity of battery energy storage utility scale that we've got in Mauritius. So, we have a total of 38 megawatts. So, different types, different functions in there. The initial set that we installed was mostly for allowing more of renewable energy to be integrated, and not renewable energy, I say variable type renewable energy, because this is what is the main issue on our side in terms of utility, how to stabilize the grid and so on. And we've got a tender which is like being finalized on 2 times 20 megawatts. So this is coming very soon as well. So in terms of technical issues, it's not like we're having some technical issues, because we are in line with what the rule of thumb is in terms of the amount of battery that we need. So usually for small grid like 20-35% of renewable energy integrated, it should be on a ratio 1 to 4. So 1 megawatt of battery for 4 megawatt of variable renewable energy. So we are here where we have around 130 megawatt of VOE on the grid, and we have around maybe 38 megawatt of battery energy storage. So we are safe in terms of this one. But since we are looking, the target is to go for 60% of renewable energy maybe in the next years to come. So we'll need definitely to increase the amount of batteries. That's why we are coming up with another project which is going to hit the floor very soon. So within maybe 1 year or so, this should be commissioned as well. But taking into consideration the technical challenges, so we need siting definitely. As we mentioned a couple of speakers back, that we have land issue in Mauritius, small island, and we need to get the land necessary to have this battery installed. And then definitely we need to have the funding. Okay, it's not a technical issue, but definitely it's going to be a barrier to us having battery energy storage. And then we need to know what is the type of batteries that we are installing. Is it only for peak shaving, or is it only for renewable, allowing more renewable energy in the grid? So this is part of the solution as well. Okay, it's part of the question, but part of the solution as well. Nowadays, our new types of batteries that we have installed can do both in terms of peak shaving, and it is very interesting because if we are adding more and more of PV, this is where the government is going. So people can maybe, if we can say, over generate during the day. So this battery can actually store this extra energy, and then we can use that for peak shaving during the evening and so on, and to help us during the ramping up, what we call the duck curve, during the early evening, to help us in terms of stabilizing the grid. So in terms of maybe technical issues as well, I don't see battery energy storage as having challenges. Mostly, it's more of a solution to us to be able to integrate more and more of VOE on the system.
Thank you, Ismail. Very, very interesting to hear that not everything is a challenge. There are some solutions and they are being implemented. Let's hear if our
Yes,
friends from J Solar want to intervene, or anybody, our friend
yes,
from
sir.
Longi.
Yes,
Please.
yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Yes, we all know that grid system is the stabilization of a grid system is related to the inertia, which is furnished by rotating system, rotating machine, generally generators and so on, and high renewable energy penetration like PV or wind system will have a big effect on this stability of frequency and voltage. That's why it's really important to include also in the same time when we are increasing, when we want to reach this high PV penetration of 60%, we also have the obligation to add the battery energy storage system, working with it, that will assure that that will assure that that the grid is still stable, that the grid remains stable even with low spinning reserve furnished normally by the rotating machine. For me, also another issue regarding this topic is the grid interoperability and the aging of the infrastructure, because it wasn't in the beginning designed to integrate such new technologies like battery energy storage system actually working, actually really fast growing in research and development. And this should be, I think, correctly managed in terms of communication between materials, and also safety, as mentioned by my predecessor. It's really important because, as we know, actually there is still a risk on lithium-ion battery energy storage system of fire risk. So we really have to ensure that material provided are according to the international standard that really prove that the materials are not, I will say, safe regarding this risk. And that's another point regarding the environmental aspect, which is also really important because we are going to install many capacities, and but at the end we should look at the second life of this capacity of battery that is really some material are difficult to manage at the end of life of the battery energy storage. So we should from now directly be ready to have a strategy to manage these material which are dangerous for a beautiful island like Mauritius.
Thank you. Very, very interesting that you mentioned the security aspect and the risk associated to battery storage facilities. I regularly meet with the personnel of the fire services uh, in regards to battery energy storage projects in Mauritius, and I can tell you that they are not prepared. The only thing they are they are worried about is whether their vehicles will be able to reach the place where the batteries will be placed or where the panels will be placed. They don't know much about what could be happening with a runaway risk of runaways, and what kind of pollutants, gases can get released, what kind of precautions they need to take, what kind of equipment they need to have when they are tackling these risks. Anyway, this is something we need to work on, and we need to stress the risk management aspect of these new projects that are coming online. Do we have anybody else who would like to intervene
Yes,
on the technical challenges related
I would like
to BESS? Yes.
to add. Yeah, I would just would like to add something regarding your comments. Yeah, of course, there are actually solutions like robust battery management system which with cells levels monitoring, like also active liquid cooling and gas detection. Uh, Also directly engage with the predictive maintenance, something like this, which are we are actually in the IE era. So we should all move to it and start to work with it. So these are some of the solutions that we can, I think, integrate in the shift of the regulation of the grid code. So it will be mandatory for product to be installed having such solutions. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, very right. Do we have anybody else who would like to intervene?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would like to add
Dr.
something on top of what my colleague Feno has mentioned. Yes, grid forming features in battery storage system is very important. Safety, of course, is very important. Um, I believe many of you have been to Snack last week, and now the trend is um, to bring this grid forming characteristic not only on the storage system but also on the solar generation system. Basically, the solar inverters also need to have these grid forming features within it. When I say grid forming, I'm talking of voltage regulation, uh, frequency regulation, and so on. So the future trend that we are seeing, it's already starting in China, but most probably it will reach Africa by end of this year or by beginning of next year, is grid forming features within the solar generation also. So that would be the next trend.
Thank you. Thank you, Vicky. Anybody else before we
Yeah,
move on
yeah,
to the next topic?
Yeah, Ravin, Dr. Ravin, let me also add in something. I actually wanted to mention the aspect of grid forming, and I'm happy that Inraj has touched on this. But there is also something else that we also need to look into. That is regards to how we are going to manage data. Because we understand with battery energy storage systems, there's especially with distributed storage, we're actually having in a lot of data coming in from different sources, different EMS as well. And the thing is that it's also critical, and it is still a challenge into how we address the factor of cybersecurity. So because we actually need to ensure that we manage, we basically implement, let me say, encryption of data or connections, and also we work on policies to manage, intrusion detection as well from different points. So cybersecurity is also one of the key challenges that I think it has also to be clearly maintained, or rather looked into. And the other thing as well is that we also need to, that is, if possible, I may be speaking from an OEM perspective, but also from from the end user perspective as well. There's also need to standardize, different EMS and also SCADA systems as well. This way will actually facilitate, an avenue where we can be able to collect data from different DERs and also be able to analyze and have them in a uniform SCADA or EMS systems. So I just wanted to add into that aspect of cybersecurity.
Yeah, that's a very important point which you have raised. I think this is not been addressed enough, but this is something that we need to really keep high on the agenda, because energy is everything, man. Without energy, you can't do anything. So we need to make sure that whatever new systems are being developed, they are developed according to the strictest norms with regards to cybersecurity. Uh, is there anybody else who would like to speak on this subject before we move on to the next? Okay, I take it that we can talk about now how are emerging technologies like smart grids, AI-driven energy management, high-efficiency solar panels reshaping the future of renewable energy in Mauritius. Is there anybody who would like to talk about this?
Yes, I want to touch on that from my side. I just want to maybe talk more on the emerging technologies like smart grids, AI-driven energy management, and especially high-efficient solar panels, how it's changing the renewable landscape in Mauritius, and how we at Longi are playing a key role in the transformation. Yeah, but why is this matter for Mauritius? As you see, Mauritius, like many islands, nations, are facing three major energy challenges. For example, your high reliance on imported fossil fuel, and also rising electricity demand, and the agent needed to meet the climate goals. But there is also a big opportunity, that is Mauritius is rich in sunlight. With the right technologies, the island can actually lead in clean and affordable and secure energy. So if you look at the smart grids are not just about wires. They are intelligent systems that help balance energy generation and consumption. So if you look at from the government's perspective, smart grids allow the governments to better manage energy supply, reduce outages, and also integrate more renewable sources without destabilizing the grid itself. Then also looking at from the project developer side, this means that fewer curtailments, better grid connectivity, and also faster project approvals. Um, when you pair all this with solar, smart grids can unlock more value from every solar project. Uh, if you now also add the AI-driven energy management into the mix, you realize that artificial intelligence is changing how we manage energy in real time. So if you look at AI, the system can actually predict solar generation based on the weather data, optimize storage use, and also shift energy demand, actually reducing your wastage and also saving cost. Then if you look for from the perspective of project owners, this boosts the system performance and improves your internal rate of return over time of the project. Then for the government side, AI also, artificial intelligence helps to in policing. I just said we were talking about policing, the previous speaker. So it actually helps in policy planning and energy forecasting, and also long-term infrastructure development. So in short, I can say AI ensures every solar watt uh, used wisely. So that's when we come in as Longi, because our mission as Longi is to make solar energy affordable, efficient, sustainable through the cutting edge panel technology. I think recently I just said about also they visited SNEC. Some of the people here in this panel, they visited SNEC. We have already introduced different type of technologies because we are always ahead of the curve in terms of trying to bring sustainable energy. So we have moved to what you call BC technology platform. This is the HPBC 2.0, and the key benefits from these panels for Mauritius is more in the high efficient side. So for example, our latest panels, the like of Hymo X10 offers conversion rates of over 24.8, meaning more electricity per square meter. So we were talking about land space. So it will actually help in that regard. Then also you have like your levelized cost of energy, which is lower, which means higher efficiency reduces the total cost per kilowatt over the system's life. Then also return on investment, you have your faster payback period, improved yield, which means your investment starts paying off sooner. Um, then also the last one, which I just want to touch on, is durability in terms of the island condition. So if you look at the new technologies in terms of panel, especially the high more extent which we introduced, you see that it was tested for salt, mist, humidity, and heat, which is perfect for Mauritius coastal and tropical environment. So and also I think I need also to touch on also the unique feature also, for example, the anti-shading in anti-dust. So whether you are developing a large-scale solar farm on rooftop systems for public buildings, from our side as Longi panels, we offer more power with fewer panels, saving your land, because land constraint is important, according to Mauritius. Then also the structure cost, then also maintenance. So in real world application, let's say maybe you are building a 10 megawatt solar farm in Mauritius with the standard module, with the standard panel. You might need maybe 45,000 panels. With Longi high efficient panels, you might only need maybe 38,000 panels, saving space, installation cost, and reduce the structural weight. So, for example, your LCOE drops maybe up to 7 to 10%, and also your return investment improves from 1 to 2 years. Then you can look at also the internal rate of return approximately also increases to 2 to 3%. So this means a more bankable and profitable project, something both developers and also governments can appreciate. For cleaner energy future for Mauritius, I think Longi is already working with partners across Africa and the Indian Ocean to build a smart and clean energy system for Mauritius. So for Mauritius, the path going forward is clear. That is your investment. It must be more aligned in the smart energy systems. Then also in terms of deployment, we recommend to deploy AI and analytics to optimize performance. Then also the use of the next generation solar panels, for example, the back contact BC, especially the one we introduced globally, that is your high more extent. And then I think Mauritius has the chance to be a great leader in the renewable energy, and Longi is ready to support that journey with world-class technology, strong local partnership, and commitment to sustainability. So my final thought is to our government in Mauritius. We are ready to support national goals for energy independence and climate leadership. And also from the project side, project owners and development, if you want to increase your margins or reduce your risk and future-proof your assets, actually the answer is simple: go solar. I think I end here because of time. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing the valuable information from Longi. Now we move on to our next topic. If you allow me, the question is, what role should the private sector and public-private partnerships play in scaling your renewable energy infrastructure, and what incentives are needed to attract them? Maybe our friend from EDB could talk about this topic, Mr. Nanlan. Anybody
Yes, sir.
else?
Sorry. Just please, once again on the question, I was just speaking to.
The question is, what role should the private sector and public-private partnerships play in scaling renewable energy infrastructure, and what incentives are needed to attract them? I'm directing this to you because I know EDB is very active in this space. maybe you can kickstart by shedding some light on this topic for us.
Yeah. So thank you for requesting me to step in for this question. And as I said earlier, the role of the Economic Development Board, the EDB, is to promote investment and also to facilitate the implementation of the projects. So when we speak about the facilitation aspect, very critical is that we have all the stakeholders who are directly concerned with the projects on board. When we say on board, that is, they are all aligned when the project is here. So to start with, we look at how the energy sector is in Mauritius. Today, it is either tender-based, which means that the Central Electricity Board will launch a tender and successful bidders will be called upon to set up the project, or it can be on schemes, based on schemes. So when we speak of schemes, there are different schemes, because in the commitment to reduce our dependency on imported fossil fuel, these schemes have come in terms of decarbonizing, for example, the industrial sector. So there is a scheme which is a CNIS, the carbon neutral industrial scheme for the industry. There's another one for the ICT sector, then another one for agriculture. So, and even again for public sector entities also, they can set up renewable energy projects. So this is how this is working. So this is where you look at the public-private partnership that you speak about. So the public sector, being the CEB, will be launching tenders, and the schemes which are managed again by the CEB. These schemes are managed by the CEB because they will have to sign the contracts with the developers and the promoters. At the same time, then the private sector companies, for example, when we speak about the renewable energy projects which are in the pipeline today in Mauritius, all these renewable energy projects are being developed by private sector companies, by private investors. But to do this, of course, when they produce, when they're generating the power, the electricity, it has to be exported to the grid, and the grid belongs to the CEB. So that's how this partnership is working. So the private sector is developing, is generating electricity and exporting to the grid. So this is something that is working today, but of course, in terms of improving and reaching the target objective of 60%, I think more can be done, and improvement in that partnership is very important, because the roles, when we speak about the roles, there is a permitting and licensing process. Like you mentioned earlier about the BLUP depends on the land conversion permit, depends on the EIA, which is environmental impact assessment. There are also other authorities which are involved. For example, you would have the Road Development Authority. For example, if there is a way leave that is required next to the roads. So these are all the different authorities which are involved in this process. That's where, during the facilitation process, EDB makes sure that all the stakeholders are on board, are aligned, and then the process can be kickstarted, whether it is in terms of the land conversion permit, in terms of the EIA, and then at the later stage when it comes to the BLUP. So that's how the partnership is working today. Yeah.
Thank you. Listening to you gives us a lot of courage to keep going.
Yeah,
But I
sure.
can tell you, being an actor, very active actor in developing renewable energy projects in Mauritius, it's not as smooth as
Easy.
you say.
Yeah,
There are many
we agree.
hurdles that developers have to face,
Yeah.
and very often they are completely at a loss. But we cannot mention specific projects in
Yeah.
this forum. But maybe
Yeah.
when one day we will be able to touch on the subject and
Definitely.
talk about the real issues and how
Yeah.
one can propose solutions. Anyway, so let's.
Thank you.
I would like to uh, get on with the other topics, because obviously we are running out of time. We are merely 40 minutes left, and we have three more topics to cover. Is there anybody who would like to intervene on the public-private partnerships team?
Yes, Dr. Ravin. And I think the organizers had earmarked this question to me, so I prepared few things, but I'll be very brief given the time. So I divided it into two parts. The role is the first one, the role that they have to play, and then the second one is the incentive that we can give to attract. So the first thing would be the financing and capital mobilization. So basically, the private role would be to bring in large-scale investment for solar farms, battery storage, and distributed solar installation. All these points that I'm going to enumerate is already happening, but like many of us have rightly acknowledged, we have a serious permitting or maybe progress issue which we have to tackle. The thing is that the policies are in place, but the policing of these policies is a bit blurred. We don't know who is going to do the policing of the policies. Anyway, so first one is the financing and capital mobilization. I mentioned about the private role. The three P's role would be to share risk and financing between the government and private entities for this type of infrastructure. An example would be just saying like this. I know we have some grid limits, but a 50 megawatt solar plus battery park co-developed with CEB through a PPT backed by sovereign guarantee or green bond. It is happening. It's already happening. I mean, partially. So that's one point. Second point would be the technology development and innovation. So the private role would be to provide these cutting edge technologies like us OEMs. I see three guys in this panel from OEMs, and then the private sector has also a role to play. The 3P's role would be to collaborate on piloting innovative technologies. I mean, like V2G, but okay, I know it's a bit far-fetched maybe for Mauritius right now. Agrivoltaics, which we are already doing, floating PV, which we are seeing also, where the state co-invest, maybe that would be one thing, and then enable land use. So an example would be a consortium of international solar firms and local SMEs building a utility scale agri-solar project with CEB and land from Ministry of Agro Industry. That's an example, maybe. Okay. When we have operation and maintenance skill transfer, the private role would offer expertise in asset management, performance monitoring, and O&M services, reducing life cycle costs. Few of my colleagues from other OEMs have spoken about LCOE and LCOS. So that is what we as private, we can, like the OEMs, we can provide. The 3P's role would be to structure long-term contract, which is already ongoing. I think we should make it faster. So 20 years O&M 3Ps that include local workforce training and technology transfer clauses. Last point in the roles would be decentralized energy and access. I spoke about it earlier. So maybe develop commercial, industrial, and residential rooftop systems, microgrids, and EV charging networks. Private role. And the 3P's role would be to support community solar in some underserved areas. The incentive, so for Mauritius to become a hub for the solar and storage investment, would be regulatory clarity and long-term visibility. I'm not going to go into the points that I prepared, but just fiscal incentive, maybe accelerated depreciation of renewable energy investment. Without mentioning name, like you said, I do have stakeholders right now working on utility scale, which are financing their project from equity. Once the project is done, then they are looking for financing solution from the local banks. This is already still happening. So maybe this might change with fiscal incentive. Feed-in tariff and tariff bankability would be another point, another incentive, and blended finance and risk mitigation, basically using public funds or concessional loans from banks or multilateral banks. Yeah, these are a few points.
Thank you, Vicky. I think to do justice to our other panelists, we need to move on to the remaining three topics that we have on the list. So I would move now to the sixth topic, which is how can Mauritius develop a strong local talent pipeline and entrepreneurial ecosystem to support long-term growth in the solar and storage sectors. So we're talking now about the local talent pipeline. Who would like to intervene?
Yes, Dr. Rabin. Chetan Janki here from Sunfarming Africa.
Hello.
Sunfarming Africa is specialized in agrivoltaic solutions for the Indian Ocean, which I'll talk a bit more in the later question. But right now, focusing on this main question about how do we actually develop a strong local workforce in the renewable energy sector, especially in the solar sector. First of all, Mauritius needs to double or even triple its solar capacity by 2030. So Mauritius needs to develop more than 7,000 green jobs to be able to achieve its 60% renewable energy goal, which is, of course, very challenging. But how fast can we actually develop it? I want to talk to you about a proven model from South Africa that can actually accelerate workforce development, which Sunfarming South Africa, so my colleagues from there have also helped develop. It's called the PV Green Card program. So for those of you who don't know what the PV Green Card program, it was actually developed by the South African PV Association to create a proper installation program, installation training for it's targeted actually to electricians or solar installers, and it's actually a very simple 1 week installation training where the participants go through 5 days of rigorous training in both theoretical and practical training, after which they go through 2-day assessment to be able to pass the course basically. South Africa, through this course, has been able to train up to 10,000 people in this field, and this training is about 60% theoretical and 40% practical. Basically, the the participants come away with a real life building of solar systems and how
Chetan, if you can hear us, you're frozen. Just start again, please. Are you able to come back online? Chetan, can you come back? Okay, maybe if we can take another speaker and then allow Chetan to come in later when he's sorted his Wi-Fi
yes,
issue.
I think I'm back. Hello?
You're back. You're back. Okay, great.
Yes. Sorry, technical issue. But I'll be very quick. I know time is limited. So let me just activate this again. Yes. So first of all, how can this help? How can this be replicated in Mauritius? It needs to be industry-led and not government-dependent. So we can actually partner with the South African PV Association, with the Marina, the MITD in Mauritius to develop such a program here. Secondly, I think it is very important that we develop a database of registered installers in Mauritius that clients, individuals or companies can have access to be able to ensure that whoever is doing their installation is actually accredited, and it gives a quality assurance to them. And I think the PV Green Card program has everything we need. It has a proven curriculum, rigorous assessment, and we can actually become the regional leader in renewable energy human capital development. Thank you, Mr. Dr.
Thank you,
Ravin.
thank you, Chetan. Very insightful. We do we have anybody else who would like to intervene on the talent pipeline? Anybody from CB would like to intervene on the talent pipeline for Mauritians?
So just maybe for the talent pipeline, I believe that our friend Chetan has covered it maybe by large. And in terms of the CB, because it's mostly on the customer side, that the installation of PV and maybe individual battery energy storage. But from our part, we are training our people with all new installation. Okay, coming up, we have our own solar farm as well as utility scale VSS. So all these we are training our people in that. But we need more as here our friend earlier mentioned. Okay, like we cannot have the same types of technicians, and so we need a different level. So we need to have the whole maybe value chain maybe trained to pick up these jobs in terms of renewable energy, battery energy storage, because the landscape itself has changed.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, Dr.
Any of
Ravin, if
our
I may,
international friends would like to intervene?
yeah, if I may
Yes.
say something quickly, as I had mentioned earlier, that the technical capacity, it's really still based on the discussion with the Mauritian side, it's still also a challenge. And as I mentioned, that we have discussed with Mauritius, the Ministry of Energy and Water, and we are going to set up a solar application resource center, which will serve as a as a knowledge hub, training center, and also for standardization and also providing a certified international certificate. And we are planning that this center to be operationalized by next year and to be hosted by one of the universities in Mauritius.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this information. Very important to learn that resource center will be set up with the help of ISA. Uh, I would like to move on to the two remaining topics that we need to cover today. The seventh topic on my list is what are OEM's priorities for successful deployment and local capacity building in solar and storage projects? So, what are the OEM's priorities for successful deployment and local capacity building in solar and storage projects? So, we have a few OEM friends present today. So, let's hear from all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, Raven, let me go first. I'm actually coming in, rather speaking on behalf of Jinko Energy Storage. And Jinko Energy Storage is actually one of the strategic arms of Jinko Solar, focusing into mainly manufacturing of battery energy storage equipment and also integration aspect. Mark my words, there is manufacturing and integration of battery energy storage solutions as well. And we've been focusing mainly into having these solutions for commercial and industrial solutions, and also for utility as well. And currently, focusing into two sets of solutions. One is 261 kilowatt hours all in one for C&I, and 520 kilowatt hours all in one solution for C&I as well, and also 5 megawatt hours for utility. So just giving that as some bit of perspective. And just to come into your question right now, is it as an OEM and also an integrator, is that we plan for deployment. I think the first aspect is to be able to plan for this aspect of deployment. For you to be able to have a successful deployment, you need to plan for it. And as an integrator, our also as a manufacturer is that we try as much as possible to have our solutions to be more of a plug and play solutions, ideally to make it easier for the end user, the APC, the developer, or even the utility as well, or whoever is actually going to be integrating the equipment. So that is the first aspect. And this has actually helped us a lot in terms of lessening our work basically what is being done on site, because most of the work, including pre-commissioning, is actually done in our factories, mainly in China. So ideally, that is the first step. And we also look into focus into looking into, okay, if we're going to deploy the solutions in Mauritius, we also look into the other aspects like logistical aspects. Is a local port actually able to handling this the weight of these containers or cabinet as well? So we also need to look into the requirements of the local logistics. So ideally, in that case, we able to have the overall view of this destination of our equipment. So ideally, we are taking responsibility as an OEM. The other aspect is that we also look into try as much as possible to make a bankable solution, or basically a bankable product, a solution that is able to last, a solution that is actually able to withstand, a solution that is will meet the requirements of the customers. So ideally, that case, it will lessen our work, in terms of complexity of integrating solution on site. And the other thing also, as part of basically one of the key things that we focus into to look into that we get into successful deployment, is that we also look into the future. Because if you look at our equipment, like for Jinko, where we're supplying our battery storage with warranties of 15, sometimes up to 20 years as well, we also need to plan for how we're going to do the O&M for these equipment. That's why, in some utility projects, let's say more than 50 megawatt hours, we usually provide, LTSA, that is long-term service agreements, and also extended warranties for our equipment. And in this, we also, provide, warranty support at any given points. We also provide trainings, that is not only post-commissioning training or pre-commissioning training, but also training for the operators, and also for the maintenance personnel or the asset management company, that is during, the operation and maintenance phase of the project as well. That is actually more of a continuous training plan that is actually made in conjunction with the asset management company. The other thing is that we also plan for on them, that is working in with the asset management company, or the on them companies, to plan for scheduled maintenance, and also plans for preventive maintenance as well. So ideally, we make that very clearly, that is during the planning space. And one of the other aspects that we also look into is that what we currently working on is that we recently, in 2023, started a installer certification plan, or rather, it's actually a program where we certify installers from different countries. This is actually a plan that has really worked for us into improving, let me say, technology transfer from our company to the, to the local technicians, to the local engineers, and also local technical personnel, that is in general. And we've been doing this. It's really successful. It's actually a continuous process. It's a certification program that is renewed on an yearly basis. So we've done this in a number of countries, like South Africa. We've also done in Kenya. We've also done in Nigeria as well, and some other European countries. So in this case, to luckily supplement what was discussed by the previous panelists in topic number 6. And then lastly is that for purposes of looking into the aspect of successful deployment, we also need to plan for the life cycle of let me say the life cycle impact analysis of battery energy storage equipment. Basically focusing on battery energy storage systems. So how are we going to dispose the batteries at the end of life? So that is also something that we've done our own internal planning, and currently we also partnering with some other institutions as well to basically plan for the end of life of the battery energy storage equipment. So in that case, looking in all those aspects to luckily really help into having successful deployment of the project. And one point that I did mention is that with regards to grid integration, and not really grid integration, but also understanding the customer's requirements. It has to be very clear, before even we, before even we venture into the aspect of manufacturing or integration of the equipment. So we have to clearly understand that is to the nitty-gritties of the project. We have to understand clearly on what are the requirements, whether it's grid forming, whether it's peak shaving, whether it's basically demand response, etc., or black that etc. So that has to be clearly defined from that is in the initial stages of the projects. So in that case, it will actually lessen our work as an OEM. So that is basically what I wanted to share in the short time. So back to you, Revin.
Thank you. Thank you. Very, very interesting to learn that Jinko is really hand holding their customers and making sure that the projects that they are doing are bankable and long lasting projects. So we now would like to move to uh, the we've talked about the seventh topic. If there's anybody else would like to intervene, OEMs.
Excuse me, may I, if you allow me, Chair?
Yes, yes.
So also I'm not a member of the panelist, so I just want to make a few points. The fact that I've been in the electricity for almost 3 decades now in Mauritius, so I'll bring my background to the discussion. So I've been listening to all the members, the panelists. So for each of the themes that you have discussed today, let me just raise some questions. For each one, I will raise one question. So the first one, you have spoken about the policy regulatory shift. So you know it that not very long ago, there have been some amendment to the Electricity Act of Mauritius. So today there is a new act in force, and normally this act requires that the system is operated in a single buyer model. So in a single buyer model, there is a reason behind it. Was we want to have a single buyer model? Why the policymakers want to have a single buyer model? So the single buyer model makes the CB become the central figure in the supply of electricity. And in this, under this mandate of supplying electricity, renewable energy is important. But above renewable energy, we need to ensure that energy is accessible to all. I recall that you mentioned it, without energy, nothing works. So CB from that standpoint need to ensure that electricity, energy is accessible to all. So in a nutshell, we need to take a holistic approach to energy, not only to renewable energy. That's why today we are facing a critical situation where we are on the verge of having load shedding, or eventually could be leading to blackout in the future. So in this logic, when we are doing projects, or whether for solar PV or any renewable energy, we need to ensure cohesiveness in our approach. So we at the CB, as a senior analyst at the CB, I can tell you that we take many aspects into consideration before we launch a call for proposal, before we launch a scheme. So that's why maybe it doesn't necessarily be in the interest of OEM, solar PV, or battery energy storage supplier, but it must be first and foremost in the interest of the consumers. So that's why when we're doing project, we look into the cohesiveness of what we are doing to ensure that what we are doing in terms of renewable energy doesn't impact negatively on other aspects of the electricity system, of the power generation system. That's one thing. The second items on your second theme, that is the financing tool. Again, private sectors will be willing to take risk, but to have lower risk, higher return, which is contrary to the logic of taking risk. More risk, more return. So our views on this, that private sectors financing agencies in Mauritius especially don't want to take risk, but they want to have high returns. So the problem, in fact, is not financing. The problem is the rate of return on from the financing. So they don't want to do a little bit more. But that question, we leave it to the OEM manufacturers, suppliers, project developers to ensure that we need to cut the peer into half. The third thing is with regard to capabilities, technical challenges of integrating. My colleague from the CB have said it on the CB side, not major concern because CB employs a large pool of technical people in Mauritius, large pool of engineers, etc. But still, how many people in Mauritius, I'm not talking about CB, has the capability in terms of technical knowledge regarding the management of battery energy system or the software part of the energy management system for battery? I doubt it. There's not many. So we need some things to do there because otherwise we will keep be dependent on the supplier of the battery energy system. We have done this experience. When you have an issue, you have to call the guy who is kilometers away above, and then that person will have to take you to somewhere and tell you how you're going to do to get the troubleshooting done. So we need more advanced technical capabilities in terms of development of our people. The fourth one is regard to emerging technologies, AI driven, right? I've said it in my keynotes that we have a number of things being done already. Some of our colleagues from during the presentation has talked about it. Many things have been done. There are many things, but a little bit fragmented. There is a need for integration. The need for that integration, we need integrators. Where are the integrators? I'll hardly find them. So what are the integrators? I'm myself questioning a little bit about this. So the fifth one is financing public-private partnership. Rightly mentioned by one of the presenters that many of the projects in solar PV in Mauritius, I've said it, we have increased from 2012 to today, that is within a decade, from something like 20 megawatt to 180 megawatt solar PV already installed. 750% increase. Suddenly, that part of the renewable energy sector that has progressed significantly. And we're moving forward in it. Based on project in the pipeline, this will be more than twice, maybe 3 times higher in the coming years. Well, the question is, who is doing it? CB is just offering contracts. CB just offer power purchase agreement. It's an off-taker. So all these projects are private investment. Largely, we can say 90% of what has been achieved in renewable energy, solar PV especially, is private investment. Now, what is required in terms of PPP, partnership, not necessarily financing? What is required is a framework that will facilitate the development and implementation of projects. That's the thing that is still under debate. I don't think that major incentive is required. Many things has been done. There are a lot of incentive in projects that are being promoted. The sixth one of the debate was on talent. Well, you know it better than me, perhaps, that Mauritius were already suffering from a shortage of labor. Right? We are not being able to retain our skilled labor. These talents that we want to develop, are they present in Mauritius? Do we have them? I'm questioning, maybe I don't have the answer, but I doubt it that we have sufficient people who would like to be developed and then eventually to stay in Mauritius to work in the field. Maybe we'll have to import more technically advanced people to do the labor works in terms of in the solar PV and energy storage sector. The last question, in fact, unfortunately, with regard to OEM. So I think that there are things that have to be questioned in terms of the supply chain. there are a lot of things with regard to the supply chain. We are quite remote from the main suppliers. So how do we do regionally so that we can benefit from economies of scales from OEMs? Because otherwise, as a small island, limited capacity, will be facing again difficulty in supply chain. You know it that currently a lot of things happening in the world where we are being faced with some major difficulties in terms of supply chain. So to end up, let me tell you that I believe that solar PV has significant promising development, but we need some kind of ramping philosophy in our approach. Thank you, Chair, for giving me this opportunity to add all
you.
these few points. Yeah.
Thank you, Iqbal. You have done, I would say, 90% of the moderator's job already by summarizing all that we have talked about. I would like to use the remaining 10 minutes we have to tackle the last topic, and then I would request the panelists who will tackle this to limit themselves to uh, uh, 5 minutes, so that we can keep the last 5 minutes to do a final round of comments and saying goodbye and see you next time. So I'll open the floor for the last topic, which is how can Mauritius scale agrovoltaics, optimize land use, and help advance its clean energy goals. I would like to ask Chetan to maybe start, and then allow anybody else who wants to come in. Chetan?
Yes, of course. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ravin. Yeah, so sun farming is part of the German sun farming group. We are specialized in agrivoltaic and developing agrivoltaic solutions on a large scale, not only in Europe but also in Africa. Concerning Mauritius, we have a most fundamental challenge, which is that we need to increase our solar capacity by 200, 300, or even 400 megawatt by 2030. As mentioned by my colleagues from the CEB. But the main problem is that we cannot really allow to sacrifice our agricultural land for solar energy production. So due to we all know that there have been problems with solar plants getting their land conversion permits, and that's exactly why, because these prime agricultural lands are being converted to solar plants with, of course, no agricultural yield. So there comes agrivoltaic systems that are specifically designed and engineered not only to produce energy, but also to enable cultivation underneath the panels. So we are not really choosing between food security and energy security. We are actually doing both. So as we know, I'll talk a bit about the agriport, which is very important, I would say, where in Mauritius we only import we import 25% of our food that we consume. So that means that we import 75% of the food that we consume. So that means that we produce only 25%, which is a huge problem in food security. So with 42% of our land in agricultural use, this is our gold mine. So we can actually convert these lands into agrivoltaic farms. This is not theoretical. Sun Farming has already built a pilot plant and pilot agrivoltaic plant in the west of Mauritius, where all types of cultivation and agricultural activities have been tested. So and we are actually expanding to 1 megawatt in this year actually. So agrivoltaic solutions are actually suited to Mauritius because of, first of all, the tropical climate. We have the panels can be used to shield the plants from excess sun, so it can be used the plants can benefit from this partial shading, and also the agrivoltaic systems can actually protect the plants during climate changes such as cyclones or even torrential rains. So I'll talk a bit about what the schemes, what kind of schemes are available here in Mauritius. I would like to commend my colleagues from the CB, especially Mr. Iqbal, who worked on this scheme personally, which is the agrivoltaic scheme that is open to any farmer in Mauritius. So any farmer having land and suitable injection point to the CB can actually invest in an agrivoltaic system up to 500 kilowatt in Mauritius, and they can actually get a very good preferential tariff of 5 rupees per kilowatt hour to be able to actually get a double income from the sale of electricity and also continue their agricultural activity such as vegetable production, etc. This scheme has been earmarked for 20 megawatt, but we hope to see that it will be scaled up to even 100 megawatt of agrivoltaic systems across Mauritius. Having distributed agrivoltaic systems across Mauritius can also help the grid in terms of stability. Instead of having one major plant of, for example, 20 or 30 megawatt, having different 1 megawatt systems across the systems can contribute to the grid stability of the system. So we can't choose between feeding the nation and energizing the nation. So one of the main problems that I've seen for the scaling up of agrivoltaic systems is what we have discussed before is basically access to finance. So we have the scheme, the framework from the CB, thankfully, and secondly, we have farmers that are readily eager to invest into such projects, but they lack the access to finance. So we believe that development institutions such as the Marina or the Development Bank of Mauritius can come up with soft loans and with lower interest rate and longer repayment terms to be able to
Chetan,
be
I would have
yeah.
to ask you to stop or to cut because we are going to
Okay,
run out of
okay, yeah,
time.
sure,
But
sure, sure.
Chetan,
No
this is a
problem.
very, let me say that this what you're talking about is extremely important, and the nexus between energy and food has to be addressed, and otherwise we will not make progress on
Yeah.
renewable energy. Chetan, will you please intervene during the face-to-face event that is coming for we will be having in July. I believe it's on the 16th of July, and
Mhm.
be prepared to share all your beautiful ideas regarding solar and farming. I would
Okay.
quickly now ask each of the panelists to say a few words and so that we can conclude. So I invite not only the panelists but the keynote speakers as well. So let's start with we'll have Barakat last. So let's start with Mr. Dripol. And word of thanks, goodbye note.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think many have been said. So I totally agree with our panelists here that there are a lot of things in the pipeline. Many things have to be done also. But to sum up, I think that solar PV would have a very promising way forward in the coming years. So I think
Thank
all
you.
our colleagues will need to be on board.
Let's have Mr. Nanlan.
Yeah, thank you. Once again, thank you for inviting me to this panel. So, as I mentioned, so the technologies, new technologies that have to be looked at in terms of because of the land issue. Not all the land can be used for solar PV because solar PV requires a lot of land. That's one thing. And the second aspect in terms of the policies that will be coming, so watch out for the space in terms of the waste to wealth, because as I mentioned, waste to wealth. There will be one aspect of waste to wealth which relates to waste to energy. And it's also good to see our friend Ahmed Barakat, whom we met. Now we're seeing each other on the screen, but we met when you came to Mauritius last time. So thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's have Mr. Ismail from CB. quickly?
Yes, so thank you, Chair. Thank you to the organizers for having me for this session. So just to mention that maybe last word for me is going to be that it's not only about the renewable energy, it's about, for us at the CB, it's about the stability of the grid, reliability as well. So it's much more complicated, much more of factor that we need to add into that. So it's not as simple, maybe just to replicate what we've had from other countries. We are insular, okay, we are surrounded by the sea, we're not interconnected. Small grids, there's much more that needs to be taken care of. But I'm happy that we have all of the stakeholders here who are working in the same direction. So looking forward to hearing more from that. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Let's have Chetan quickly.
Thank you everyone for inviting me, and yeah, I believe we will get there eventually. We need to accelerate our renewable energy development, but of course we can't forget about the stability of the grid, especially in the last few months we've seen such a rise in demand of electricity. So the outlook is very positive. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's have Vicky.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Evin. Thank you to the organizers for having me in this discussion. I would like to maybe bring up a topic as a closing point. Maybe we can take it further in the face-to-face discussion in July. We have all discussed about Titus has given a very good, let's say, presentation about what the OEMs are doing. I don't have anything to add on that. We are all, I believe, we are all aligned on the points that you have mentioned. There is one thing in Mauritius which this forum has not discussed right now, is what do we do with the panels and with active products after the life cycle of a plant. So this is one topic which I think we need to discuss during the face-to-face discussion. I would like to close on that by saying that, I mean, I'm from Huawei. So at Huawei, we, as a responsible OEM, any defective products that we have, which is still under warranty, we take it back from the customer and we scrap it properly. I mean, we separate all the components and send it for recycling. This is actually being done in Mauritius. Okay, we have
Thank you,
contracts.
Vicky.
Yeah, thank you.
Keep some of the gyan, the wisdom, the knowledge for the actual face-to-face. Let's have Titus.
Thank you, Ravin. I just want to say, for me today, it's really been an honor to speak in this webinar. And thank you to all the attendees and also the organizers as well. And you know, what I want to say just as my closing remarks is that I think as an OEM, as a solution provider, not really a vendor, but giving you a solution. And as Jinko ESS, we actually ready to work with you. That is throughout your project. That is from the initial stage to to the end of life of the project. And just to also say, we leave you with this quote that we need to store today to power tomorrow.
Thank you. Let's have Pinosu.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Revin. Thank you for the organizer of this event. It's an honor for us to taking part of for these discussions.
Oh, you froze.
And looking forward to meet.
I think we have an issue. Let's have Shorai in the meantime.
Yes, I just want to thank you, Irvin. I'm honored to be here as part of the Mauritius Clean Energy Week. I just want to close by just saying that at Longi, we value our customer pain points, and we are here to provide
advanced technology to the industry, and under the BC cell platform. I think that's my last remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's have now Mr. Barakat, and then I'll have a final word, and then we'll pass on to the organizers. Mr. Barakat, your goodbye note.
Thank you so much, Mr. Raveen. It has been a very insightful discussion, and I think we have all aligned and agreed on the challenges that Mauritius solar energy is facing. I would like just to reiterate that more than 1 month we are in deep discussion with the Ministry of Energy and CEB to tackle all the points has been raised. I really commend the intervention by Hawaii about the digitalization and the AI, even the waste management. All of this will be tackled, but ISA cannot do it alone. So, Mr. Ravine, the first word that you have start the discussion that a framework for partners, a lot of players in Mauritius. I really my final word that we need to come all together to deliver impactful and more outcome can come up with this partnership. So I really looking forward to continue this discussion with you. And we are planning a high-level mission to Mauritius in maybe in September, led by our DG, where we will present the strategy of ISA and Mauritius, and really hope that all of you will be there for your also inputs and insightful also interaction. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I certainly would like to meet up with you when you're here next. So thank you, everybody. And I think this has been very interesting in terms of showing us where are the challenges and what needs to be tackled. Certainly, a framework for the whole sector needs to be to evolve. And I think the EDB and ISA can have a significant role in this, developing a framework for project solar and renewable energy projects. Thank you, and over to the organizers. Hello, Ekta, you still there?
Yes, Dr. Revin. Thank you so much. And a very big thanks to our esteemed speakers for this insightful session. And thank you so much, Dr. Revin, for expertly moderating this. But before we leave here, we have a couple of questions that are yet unanswered. So, very quickly, I am just going to show all the questions that we have on stage, and we'll keep it open for our panelists to answer them. Let me begin with a question that was asked first by Mr. Bruce, and I am showing it on the stage right now. Yes. Please provide guidance on funding under $800,000 for possible partnership with Marina and the Central Energy Board.
Who would like to answer that?
I guess if Mr. Ismail is around, he would be the right person to answer this
Yeah,
one.
so I don't know whether it's referring to whether CB is going to fund
I
that
am
or
sure
Marina.
this is for him.
Yeah, so I don't know whether it's referring to whether CB needs to fund or Marina. So most likely you need to look for different types of funding, but it's not the CB or Marina. Maybe there may be some grants and so on, but not specifically CB is going to fund such project. But you can, maybe I will invite the participant to look on CB's website. All these schemes that we've got, I think we have got around maybe 12 schemes which are currently on, so you can look into where they can get into, but the funding I would think they will need to look into from their part.
Right. Thank you so much. Let's quickly move on to the next question here. And I have this from Roshni, Miss Roshni. And she is asking, what are your views on going towards electricity from wave energy? To my opinion, Mauritius is surrounded by the sea. There is potential for wave energy technologies, which unfortunately are currently not being explored on the island.
So if I can intervene on this one as well. So there was a study, there was a pilot study which was conducted I don't know about the findings, but it is very early. Maybe strategies that they can look into. But there was a pilot study being conducted in Mauritius, and but to replicate that at large scale, so we need to have, because we need to have it bankability issues and so on. It's very new technology. There are two technologies referred to wave. It's one about the tide and one about the undercurrent uh, pressure that we've got. So we have got a couple of places versus where this can be implemented, but maybe at small scale it's okay. But if to implement that at large scale, we need to have much more feasibility study being done onto that. But there's a team which is looking on to this possibility as well.
Maybe if I can add on this is that when
Please
we are
do.
selecting projects, normally in our demand supply balance, we look for screening out the project which was more economically viable for the country. So solar PV will take precedence on wave energy. Although it's not possible, there are studies being still carried on this wave energy, and in the ROE roadmap of Mauritius, it is in there. So potentially, when it's commercially available, that would be a technology that we would not neglect for sure.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ismail, and thank you so much, Mr. Iqbal. Moving ahead to the next question, and this is here it is. With the rapid growth of the solar industry in Mauritius and the result increasing in end of life panels, are there any existing frameworks in place, particularly in line with sustainability principles, that support the recycling of these materials?
If I
Okay,
can
maybe I
also
can
add on
I
this.
can shed some
Yeah,
light on
please.
this one. Uh,
All right.
there is a project right now which is happening for the
Yeah.
recycling of PV panels, but it's
Mhm.
still at permitting stage, and I happen to be involved in that. So panel recycling is going to happen. It's going to take some time before the number of panels that go faulty and become waste. But at the same time, the project has to be set up, be it at a small scale right now, and it can be scaled as the number of panels to be recycled increases. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, our next question goes on stage again. Mauritius is currently facing major increases in electricity demand from households, putting large amount of stress on the grid, which could possibly be true. With the upcoming introduction of time of use tariff, will there be new incentives and schemes from the government or CEB?
If I may allow to answer this, indeed, there are things being prepared.
Okay.
Yeah, very short answer, but there are things being prepared, especially after the government recent budget speech. There are a number of things in the pipeline.
All right, and this one is directly pointed towards CEB. I'm going to show this on the stage. To the CEB, how is the work on the PPAs going in order to improve bankability?
I will answer again. Maybe Ismail, you
Okay.
have some information, but otherwise I will answer about this because it's concerned about the corporate planning and research department of the CB. So we can announce it that there are a number of things that are already been done. There are consultants from the African Development Bank. The legal arm of the African Development Bank have been given us some support with regard to reviewing existing PPA. At the same time, there are also the World Bank, which has been working on reviewing our purchase agreement for firm renewable energy generation. So all these studies have been more or less completed. So very soon there will be new type of PPAs that will be launching into the market.
Right. So
And
I
for sure
guess
this will,
we are
yeah,
done.
and for sure this will improve the bankability on the promoter side.
I'm sure, and I can see the smile on everybody's faces there. So, I'm assuming all the questions have been answered. And now let me take this quick opportunity to speak a little as we wrap up today's webinar. I first of all sincerely want to thank all of our panelists over here and all the attendees for this engaging and for this thoughtful discussion. And a very special thank you to Dr. Revin for expertly moderating and drawing out such valuable insights. Yet once again, I'd like to thank you. And also, we look forward to seeing all of you in person at the Mauritius Clean Energy Week 2025, which Dr. Revin already mentioned, is on the 16th of July. Until then, stay connected with us through our Solar Quarter website and the social media handles for more exciting updates and the opportunities in the industry. I'd like to personally thank all the panelists once again and our moderator, Dr. Revin. Also, the floor is now open for networking. Thank you so much, everyone, for your valuable time. It was amazing being with all of you all the while. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
See you soon. Bye.